What's going on, y'all? Jordan, another episode of Lightning Latest. Whew, we finally won. I'm just kidding. I mean, we finally won a regular season game, but we did go 6-1 in the preseason too. But we won. We won today, so we'll take that. We're going to talk about the Bruins win. We're also going to be breaking down the Caps game later today, actually, and a couple other what ifs because we got a double game. So y'all know this double what if. You gotta love it. So, but we won. We won. It only took a middle of the afternoon game too, and us going on the road. But hey, Bolts won. They beat the Bruins 4-3 on the road in Boston. Great team win. Still some concerning moments, but you know, at the same time, a win's a win, and you'll take it. So after the first two games where we allowed 4 goals apiece, on three's an improvement. So you know, we'll definitely take it. Yep, Bolts win their first game of 2025-2026, downing the previously undefeated Bruins 4-3. 2 goals in the first and second periods made the difference, as the Bruins scored 3 in the second to make it close, but a scoreless third kind of locked everything up, and we were all good to go from there. It was interesting, though, because, you know, after Vasi got beat up quite a bit, you know, from the preseason finale down at Sunrise to the first 2 home games, you know, it kind of made sense that Coop made a switch and Jonas Johansson got the start today. Didn't play too bad, actually. Stopped 30 of 33 shots, so we'll definitely take that all day. He did allow the 3 second period goals, but, you know, that does also come down to defense, and we're going to touch on that more in the next couple of days, because so far defensively, it's been tough watching the Bolts. You know, all those goals allowed by Vasi weren't all on Vasi, and I think we all know that. So we can improve these areas like the defense, especially. It should help. But, you know, only 3 games in. We got 79 more to go. So the penalty kill was superb. Stopped all 5 of the Bruins' power play chances, which is exactly what you want, right? You want to make sure that the opponent doesn't beat you with a man advantage. We did that today in spades 5 times. So, you know, you'll definitely take that all day long. Sorelli scored both of our first 2 goals in the first period. He was assisted by Gunsel and Goncalves on both attempts. So it was actually interesting because the second line was Gunsel, Sorelli, and Goncalves. First line, remember, we talked about this during preseason. We mentioned it could happen. Who knows if this is for sure, but first line was Hagel, Cooch, and Braden Point. So, you know, obviously it makes sense that we made some adjustments, that Cooch made some changes, you know, especially starting after that first period against the Devils when he twisted the lines, you know. It's clear that this team needed a jumpstart. Hopefully this win in Boston will be said jumpstart. Yanni Gourde scored his second goal of the season, just 39 seconds into the second period, so we'll take that all day. Pontus Holmberg also scored his first goal in Bolts Blue as well. He was assisted by Bjorkstrand and Crozier on that one. Crozier has his third assist of the season already, so he's already up to 3. Bjorky has 2. Also, Holmberg had an assist on the Yanni Gourde goal as well. So, you know, that's what you want to see out of your fourth line center. Someone that'll come in and can make plays and be consistent. And remember, we talked about, right, Holmberg's continued progression over the first 3 years of the Maple Leafs. It wasn't enough, but hopefully there's more this year. We're looking for hopefully a 30, 35, 40-point season out of him. Yeah, he's a fourth line center, but if he can be more than that, that's great. And that's what we're looking for, right? More offensive punch. That's what we need. That's the only way we're going to get past these teams come Stanley Cup playoffs time. So, you know, we're going to take the win today for sure. It was nice, you know, even though the second period did worry a lot of people, and it kind of harkens back once again to the Bolts' second period struggles since last year. Second period struggles in, you know, the first game against the Senators when we were up 3-1 and lost that game. So we got to get better in the middle period. Hopefully today's showing, and as well as Obadi Knight's showing, is but an aberration, and we can kind of get back on track, because Stanley Cup winning teams don't play second periods like we did today. I think we did against Ottawa. So we got to get better than that. And if we're not going to do better than that, well, then, you know, it's going to be tough to beat these guys, the Caps. You know, we're playing them tonight. Second game with a road trip. looking to get to 2-2, get to 500, right? This is game number 4. We still got a long way to go, but at the same time, Caps have started well. They started 2-1. They rebounded from a season-opening loss to the Bruins at home, and they went on the road in New York City, beat the Islanders 4-2, beat the Rangers 1-0. So now they're 2-1, heading back home, and it could be our advantage there because here's the thing, we've been. Well, it's only one game, but wait, we played well on the road. We got the win, right? We showed in the past we can play well on the road as well. If that can continue against the Caps, we got a good chance. But remember, the defense and goaltending have to hold up. So, do we turn back to Vasi in that? Because it is a back-to-back. So, it makes sense that Vasi didn't start the first game against Boston. However, remember, he's had a rough 3 games before that, right? Down at Sunrise in the preseason finale, and against the Senators and Devils. Some things didn't really break his way, but at the same time, it's disappointing. It's not what we want to see. So, our defensive issues have been pretty apparent in these first 3 games. If we can't correct them in Washington, we're going to have a bad time. That's as simple as that. They are a deep veteran team that has a lot of talented players. Honestly, this could also be Ovechkin's last season with the Caps. He's 40. He's going to be a free agent next summer. He's already set a ton of goals and records. He's already won a Stanley Cup. Maybe he wants to chase another one or two. We talked about him in the summer during our What If series. But, the Caps are going to continue to fight hard. They're going to want to send Ovechkin out on a high note. And, they're going to play his stuff. Yeah, it's only the 4th game of the season, but, we got to win. Winning this one would really kind of help us kind of put those first few games behind us in a way because, they were just so disappointing for a variety of reasons. And then, today's one was great. We need more of that. If we're going to be a Stanley Cup winner, even Stanley Cup contender, we got to win. If the goaltending and defense improves in this one, getting back to 500 should be not an easy task, but it should happen. I could see it definitely happening. However, if those problems continue, it's going to be a long night. 2 players that could help us, though, right now and in the future. Well, one was for both. One's for right now more so. But we're going to start with the both right now. With our buddy, Mikey. Oh, Mikey. First season with the Bruins. Former Bolt. 3 games so far this season. Or 4 games so far. It's only notched and assists. Nothing too crazy. Negative +1 minus. Or plus minus -1. So, in addition to the Bolts, he's played with the Jets, Sharks, Kraken. He was traded by us to the Kraken last trade deadline in the deal to get Yanni Gordback and to bring in Oliver Borgstrom. And last season with the Bolts and the Kraken, scored 16 points, 9 goals and 7 assists, plus minus a +7. 11 minutes and 51 seconds average time on ice. So pretty solid. 3rd or 4th line guy for sure. But he can consistently contribute, and that's what you need in those roles, right? He was a 5th round pick of the Kings back in 2016. Worked his way up, really becoming a proven NHL player. Might need an opportunity to step up more, though. However, he is getting up there. He's almost 30. And that window for improvement might have shut like it does on most people around his age. If this loss today is the indicative of something more of a malaise, now it's only 1 loss, so anything is possible. But if they do slide, there is a possibility they could trade Mikey. They could trade him somewhere, and honestly, I'd love to have him back with us because we know for a fact he can improve those 3rd and 4th lines, and we're going to be reliant on a lot of younger guys to see if they can come in and improve and contribute. And if that doesn't pan out, then we get some problems. Mikey could help with that. So, he's got a lot of familiarity with Coop's system. He's pretty comfortable. I think he'd be a great pickup if he became available. But that's a big if. So, this guy's an even bigger if, but this is why we talk about him, right? It's just really interesting because John Carlson has always been a guy I've admired. Entire career with the Caps, 2008 first round pick. 17 years in the nation's capital, okay? Played in 70-plus games in 10 of his 17 seasons, including 79 last season, 82 2 years ago. So he's been pretty healthy as of late. Last season, pretty darn good season at 34. 51 points total, 5 goals and 46 assists. Plus minus of plus 17 as well, and over 23.5 minutes of average time on ice last year. He's averaged over 20 minutes of ice time in every season of his career, except his rookie campaign in 2009-2010. He only played in 22 games and averaged a little over 15 minutes a game. But other than that, he's been on the ice. He's been doing his job. He would definitely be a boost to the Bulls defense. In fact, I think he could potentially play alongside Hetty on that first line because, he's going to be 35, or he is 35, but at the same time, he's still playing great hockey. He's smart, he's tough. He's the kind of guy you want on your defensive line pairings and really contributing. And I think in our uniform, he definitely would do so. However, like Ovechkin, he's been with the Caps his entire career. So would he leave? He's going to be a free agent next summer. So there's also a possibility of trading for him and a potential contract extension would be needed. However, would he even leave the Caps? Or would he just retire? That's the question. Same thing with Ovechkin. They have a lot of those older guys that are going to be free agents again next year, and not who are sure what's going to happen. It wouldn't surprise me if Karlsson and Ovechkin signed new deals with the Capitals, short-term deals, and retire there. However, anything's possible. And, these guys are looking to win Stanley Cups. Karlsson's only got a few more years left, so maybe he decides that the Bolts would be a good fit for him. Caps would only likely deal him if they really slipped up and dropped out of the postseason race. But, I think for now, at least, obviously, he's not going anywhere. Now, if they're down in the dumps closer to the deadline, it's possible, especially because he'll be an unrestricted free agent. However, anything's possible. So, as we all know, the NHL's been wild, especially the last few weeks of all these extensions. So, this is Jordan Lightning Latest signing off. Tomorrow, we got a pretty busy one. We're going to recap the Caps game. We're also going to talk about Curtis Douglas, because we haven't talked about him yet, even though he's the newest Bolt. And a couple other things about defense as well. And, of course, we're going to dive into what if to finish it off. This is Jordan, once again, Lightning Latest signing off. And I'll see y'all tomorrow. Have a good one.